So, have you ever found an old box of family stuff, maybe a dusty old book you never really paid attention to? Well, imagine taking that book, scanning it with modern AI, and uncovering this. Just incredible, almost lost story about your own great-grandfather. That's exactly what happened here. We're about to jump into a tale that's 100 years old, brought back to life by technology. Let's get into it.
You know, the whole reason we even have this story is because of this one simple, really powerful idea. Yamasaki Eita's great-grandson wanted to make sure this piece of his family's history didn't just fade away. He knew that the story of his ancestors' struggle and his genius was too important to be lost to time. So he decided to digitize it, to create a version that could last forever.
And this is where it gets really cool. This is where the past and the future totally collide. A story written on paper a century ago was completely resurrected using AI tools to scan it, to transcribe it, even to create illustrations for it. It's like building a bridge across 100 years, using 21st century tech to tell a deeply human story.
Okay, so let's meet the man at the center of all this, Yamasaki Eita. He was born way back in 1875 in Toyama Prefecture. And by all accounts, he was a pretty frail guy physically, but he had a razor-sharp mind and, as we'll see, a spirit that was just unbreakable. This isn't just a story about farming. It's about pure, raw determination against absolutely impossible odds.
So, picture this. It's 1897. Eita is just 23 years old, and he makes this huge, life-changing call. He packs up his mother and his siblings, sells off their family property, and moves them all to Hokkaido. Now, you gotta understand, Hokkaido back then was basically the wild frontier. It was an untamed wilderness. He was literally betting his family's entire future on a dream.
And the reality of that frontier? It was brutal. We're talking Meiji-era Hokkaido. This place wasn't just undeveloped. It was a constant knockdown, drag-out fight against nature itself. The challenges were just immense, from the land to the weather to the very real dangers lurking in the wild.
I mean, you just can't make this stuff up. The setbacks he faced were relentless, and they were absolutely heartbreaking. His very first crop, the one he was counting on to get them through that first winter, gone, wiped out by frost and floods. So he's forced to move and start all over again. And then, and this is just unimaginable, a fire tears through his home and takes the life of his 3-year-old daughter. How do you even keep going after that?
Daily life was just a raw struggle to survive. I'm talking crude huts with straw mats for doors, clearing these massive forests by hand, fighting off constant swarms of biting insects. The book mentions a terrifying run-in Eita had with a bear on the road that shook him for weeks. And to top it all off, when he started trying out his new ideas for farming, his neighbors mocked him. So on top of the physical hardship, he was dealing with social isolation too.
But through all of this, Eita was obsessed with one central problem. See, rice is the absolute heart of Japanese food and culture, right? But growing it in Hokkaido's freezing climate was thought to be next to impossible. If he could crack this code, it wouldn't just be some farming achievement. It would be a lifeline for everyone in the region.
And his big revolutionary idea came from the simplest thing, a childhood memory. He remembered seeing weeds that normally grow on dry land growing just fine in a puddle of water. And that sparked a question in his mind. Well, if a land plant can survive in water, why can't a water plant like rice start its life on land? That right there was the seed of his entire innovation.
So he created what he called the warm bed seedling method. He basically built these protected beds on dry land. But here's the stroke of genius. To keep them warm, he burned tree roots underground and channeled the smoke and heat through pipes beneath the soil. It created this perfectly warm, stable environment. The result? These incredibly strong, hardy seedlings that could actually stand up to Hokkaido's cold.
But you know how it goes with new ideas, right? People are skeptical. While Eita was carefully tending to his experimental beds, his methods were seen as, well, just bizarre and wasteful. In fact, a local landowner actually kicked him off his land, calling him a foolish lord playing with rice. He wasn't seen as a visionary. He was the town eccentric.
But Eita just kept going, completely convinced he was onto something. And pretty soon, his life's work was about to face the ultimate test, a catastrophic cold snap that would bring everyone else to their knees and threaten the whole region with starvation. This was it. This was the moment of truth.
The year was 1931, and it would go down in Hokkaido's history. It was a year of just devastating cold and total widespread crop failure. For a farmer, it was the absolute worst-case scenario.
And the difference was just night and day. While all the traditional farmers watched their crops get completely wiped out, Eita's fields, planted with his tough warm-bed seedlings, actually produced a harvest. It wasn't just a win for him. It was a miracle that literally saved people from starving. The foolish lord's game had just become the key to survival.
Yeah, after 1931, you can bet the ridicule stopped. All of a sudden, Eita's method was in very high demand, and he finally started getting the recognition he deserved. His work would go on to completely transform agriculture in northern Japan.
And his list of accomplishments is just staggering. He didn't just stop there. He developed new rice varieties. He was invited to present his findings directly to the emperor. He received the medal with blue ribbon, one of Japan's highest honors for a civilian. The city he lived in named him its first ever honorary citizen. They even created an award in his name to inspire young innovators. What a turnaround.
And yet, through all of that recognition, Eita remained incredibly humble. There's a story that later on, when he heard other people were trying to take credit for his warm bed method, he wasn't even angry. He just said he was happy the technique was spreading and helping more farmers. For him, it was never about personal glory. It was always about solving the problem for the greater good. So there you have it. A story that was almost completely lost, just sitting in an old book, gets brought roaring back to life thanks to a little bit of modern tech. It's a powerful reminder that these incredible stories of perseverance, they're often hiding right in our own family histories, just waiting to be found. It really makes you think, doesn't it? What amazing stories, what pioneers and innovators are waiting to be discovered in your family?